Okay, so one of the first things that I do when I sit down with a student for the first time, if they've never played guitar before, one of the things that I try to do is just sort of express to them the importance of proper sitting technique, proper standing technique, holding a pick properly, all those sort of things. Just like any other kind of repetitive exercise. Guitar playing does a lot of the same movements over and over and over again. So one of the important things that we need to do is make sure that we play in a way that conforms to our body so that we're not creating a lot of repetitive stress situations, which can cause things like inflammation, pains and strains and that sort of thing. As you could imagine, it would be pretty frustrating if after playing for a while you start to get sore, you don't want to play anymore, and it becomes more of work than it is a pleasure to play. So I'm going to go over three areas that we need to look at when we're first sitting down with the guitar. Okay, one of the first areas that we want to be aware of is our back. Okay, back is really important. It carries most of the weight of our body, and if our back is hurting, it's very hard to do anything, let alone playing guitar. So when we have our guitar in this manner, whether we're learning new chords down around the open position or even shredding up high way up here, we got to be careful of our back, because what it's going to want to do is, as we're learning new things, there's a tendency to lean over to look at what we're playing. Well, that makes sense, right? Because we want to see what we're doing. However, the back is going to tell us pretty soon that we've been hunched over a little too much. And old guys like me, we don't want to hunch over and create back pain, that's for sure. But even young players, after a while, if they're really doing some crazy stuff up here or just spending a lot of time practicing, you can really feel it up in your back there. So we want to be aware that we're not leaning over sort of hunchback style when we're practicing our guitar. Okay, the other area, one of the other areas, there's three in total, is the wrist. One of the things that we need to watch out for is we have tendons that run from, if you can see this, running from our first two fingers, our first and second finger. Those tendons run all the way up the length of our arm. You could feel it if you were to move these two fingers. You can feel it up around your elbow area. Okay, so what that is that's a one long tendon running the whole length of your arm, and it's running through a passageway of bone called the carpal tunnel. Now, if you've ever heard of carpal tunnel syndrome, or if you've ever experienced, you can imagine the kind of pain that it feels. So when you're playing the guitar, one of the things you got to be careful of is that you're not bending your wrist too much. All right, let's suppose I'm playing like a big open G chord, or even one of those thumb kind of chords. Okay, in both respects, I'm either bending my wrist this way or I'm bending it that way. Okay, so what happens when I do that is I'm taking those tendons and I'm compressing them. Okay, and after you compress them, then you start to move your fingers. So your hand is bent and you're moving your fingers, you're compressing, and then you're doing this to it. So what will happen there is you'll create what's called friction. Friction is going to create inflammation, and you're going to start feeling pains around your wrist area. So we want to be careful of the wrist. Okay, so we've taken a look at the back, we've taken a look at the wrist. The other one that we want to be careful of is the shoulder, and I talk to a lot of acoustic players about this sort of thing because they have the larger bodies and they got to get their arm around the body of the guitar. So what happens is, and this is normal, we've got our hand up on the bridge and we're just playing away. Now look what's happening with my shoulders. Okay, I've got one area that's considerably higher than the other. So what's going to happen is if I'm playing with any level of intensity, I'm pushing this area, the shoulder area, into the base of my neck and the base of my skull. So what's going to happen is, again, after a lengthy period of time, we're talking about repetition here, after a lengthy period of time of doing this over and over again, I'm going to start to feel tension up and around the back of my neck area. And I've had other guitar players that, after a while they got to kind of stretch their neck a little bit there. So we need to be careful of three basic areas. Okay, we need to watch the back, we need to watch the wrist, and we need to watch the shoulder. Now, the funny thing about this is you can solve all three problems by simply putting the guitar on the other leg. Now, I use my strap all the time. I never want to feel like I need to support the guitar with my arms. I let the strap do the job for me. My arms, my hands, anything that I'm using to play with, my foot, whatever, anything that I'm using to play with, I shouldn't be using to also hold the guitar. That's the job of the strap. And I'm going to set it and then I'm going to forget it, basically, because all I want to do now is just play the silly thing. All right, but look what's happening, okay? My hand, if I take that G chord, if you remember, if I had that G chord that was down here where my wrist was bent, I put the guitar on the other leg, and hopefully you can see this here. My wrist is now considerably straighter, okay? I can quickly play that G chord. What about the thumb chord? Still a little bit of a bend, but obviously not as extensive as what you would have seen with the guitar on the other leg, okay? Because I have to reach right around to make that chord. Okay, let's take a look at the back. Well, if I'm playing, again, if I'm concentrating on something that's new, my neck is up a little bit higher now, so I don't feel like I need to lean over to see it, okay? I've brought the neck up to my line of sight, as opposed to bringing my line of sight down to the guitar, or down to the neck so I can see it. So I don't need to lean over quite so much. Now, the most obvious one here is the shoulder area. See how unbalanced my shoulders are? Okay. Well, now watch this. I'm not going to move where my hand is on the bridge. I'm going to rest my hand right on the bridge, and now I'm going to put the guitar on the other leg. Okay? Now I want you to see the balance between the shoulders. Equally balanced, okay? This is a pretty significant thing that you want to do, especially if you're just starting out. Proper positioning is key to playing for a fairly lengthy amount of time. I've been playing for over 20 years. I've never had any wrist problems. I've never had any back problems. My neck, my shoulders, they've all been great. And one of the things that I did right from the very, very beginning was to make sure that I was playing with just proper physical technique before I even play a note. So hopefully, if you've ever experienced any aches or pains, you'll benefit from this, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Okay, bye.